Hello, good game. Welcome back, ghouls and goblins. Thank you so much for taking the time to support the channel. Today we have brand new D&D cards. Spoiler alert. If you guys don't want to see the spoilers, I get it, but I am so excited for them. We have 8 brand new cards and some new mechanics revealed, which is really exciting. Of course, if you are a subscriber of mine, when I reach 35,000 subs, I will be buying someone's complete rare playset to the D&D expansion, which is really cool. So definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and tell your friends about it, of course, because I'm sure they would not mind. Today we're going to take a look at these brand new cards and discuss some of the mechanics and maybe where we think it may lead in the future spoilers. Let's get into it. All right, so first off, we have Evolving Wilds. I'm sure you are all aware of this card. It just gets an update. It's a reprint, and the art is pretty baller, in all honesty. We seen the Goblin Land the other day as well on the community page as a reference to this with the same style of art, which makes me think it's going to be a reoccurring, art format for at least the lands. Evolving Wilds, of course, you'll sacrifice it to search your library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Also known as the Poor Man's Fable Passage, because it's not quite as good, but it is much more budget friendly as it is only an uncommon. Next up, we have 3 dungeons, but we're going to talk about those in just a second. First, we need to understand a little bit about them because there is no additional information given as to the dungeon mechanics within the cards yet. But we can discover a little bit more through looking at the creatures that they've given us. We have first off Gloom Stalker for 3 mana, a 2/3. As long as you've completed a dungeon, Gloom Stalker has double strike. Very interesting. Next up, Shortcut Seeker for 4. Whenever Shortcut Seeker deals combat damage to a player, venture into the dungeon. And now this means enter the first room or advance into the next room. So that's pretty cool as well. Nadar, Selfless Paladin for 3, a 3/3 with Vigilance. Whenever Nadar, the Paladin, Selfless Paladin enters the battlefield or attacks, venture into the dungeon. And again, enter the first room or advance into the next room. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 as long as you've completed a dungeon. So that's pretty cool as well. And then finally, we have a Planeswalker that we will need to take a closer look at because it's just so dang blurry. Eliwick Tumblestrom. +1, venture into the dungeon, enter into the first room or advance into the next room. -2, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. If it's a legendary, you gain 3 life. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So I'm assuming that a lot of our dungeons will be legendaries, and we can try to cycle those into play with that -2 ability from our library. -7, you get an emblem with creatures you control have trample and haste, and get +2/+2 for each differently named dungeon you've completed, which is really cool. So we get to progress through the dungeons. We can, I believe, look at the top 6 cards of our library, reveal a creature card from among them, put it into your hand. If it's a legendary, you gain 3 life. So that's a creature, so we won't actually be searching for dungeons. I just seen the legendary part on my first read through. Looking for legendary creatures is not bad, though. Could you imagine looking at the top 6 of your library to pull out a questing beast and gaining 3 life? It is only going into your hand, which is not bad. So coming full circle now back to the dungeons, we realize that we need abilities to enter the dungeons and progress through them, and then we will gain attribute bonuses once we've potentially completed them or worked our way through them. Now let's begin to look at some of the dungeons. And now this is kind of crazy because there is no mana cost here. Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I'm assuming since there is no mana cost, you can just put this in play. I have no idea. That's what I'm assuming right now. If anyone gets confirmation on this, please let us know in the comments below, and I'll pin it so everybody can easily see that. However, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, once you've entered it. And again, we will need an ability or a trigger to have us enter that dungeon, and it will have a name for that level and then an effect. So Yawning Portal, you gain 1 life. Dungeon level, scry 1, and this is the cool part, is you can pick which path you take. Goblin Bazaar, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Created treasure token. Twisted Caverns, target creature can't attack until your next turn. So you can be offensive and ramp, or you can be defensive and shut down one of their attackers. The Lost Level, scry 2, and then again it splits into Runestone Caverns. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them. Interesting. That's a nice draw effect there. Muriel's Graveyard. Create 2 1/1 black skeleton creature tokens. That's all right as well. Finally, Deep Mines, scry 3, and then finally, the Mad Wizard's Lair. Draw 3 cards and reveal them. You may cast one of them without paying its mana cost. Holy moly. But let's keep in mind that requires 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 progressions through the dungeon. That will take a while, and this again is interesting because it's not an artifact, it's not an enchantment, or at least it doesn't appear to be yet. I have no idea how this is going to work. They've really played this one close to the chest. Spoilers have been withheld really well. Nobody knows anything. So we're all literally learning this at the same time, which is really cool. So that's the first dungeon. We can get rid of that and go back. Take a look at the second one, Tomb of Annihilation. When you enter it, trapped entry, each player loses 1 life. Then immediately it splits into Veil of Fear. Each player loses 2 life unless they discard a card. And Sandfall Cell. Each player loses 2 life unless they sacrifice an artifact, creature, or a land. Or you could take the opposing side, Obsolete. Discard a card and sacrifice an artifact, a creature, and a land, which is really, really interesting. And finally, Cradle of the Death God. Create a Tropal, a legendary 4/4 black god, horror creature token with Death Touch. Interesting. So that is a thing. And now I imagine that you would potentially use the quicker path to get to the payoff, which is quite nice, right? The 4/4 with Death Touch. That's all right. And if you are using, because I see this comment here, why would you ever use this one? Because you can get to Cradle faster, and you could have a deck that relies on discarding things to bring them back, like a recursion or a reanimator deck, right? So that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at the third dungeon that they've shown us here today. It is Lost Mine of Phandelver. Cave entrance, scry 1, then it splits into Goblin Lair. Create a 1/1 red goblin creature token, and Mine Tunnels. Create a treasure token. So whether you want to ramp with creature or ramp with token, that's nice. Storeroom, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Dark Pool, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Fungi Cavern, target creature gets -4, -0 until your next turn. So that's kind of cool defensively. And then Temple of Dumathoin, draw a card, which is actually not bad. Draw engines are great. So this is really, really cool. Very interesting to see. They do not say that they are legendary. They do not say that they are enchantment, artifacts. They are just dungeons, which is interesting. And then we see, ways to enter the dungeon and progress through them. And the fact that we will get, attribute bonuses when we've completed them as well, which is really cool. And, I don't know which is cooler, is like the new dungeon mechanic or the new Planeswalker. 4 loyalty Planeswalker for 4 mana, a +1, which is decent, allowing us to progress through all of the dungeons. Really, really cool. So I wonder if our opponents will be able to progress through those dungeons either at the same time as us. Let's go right to Polygon.com. Now these are the people who were able to spoil these. So let's see if they reveal any additional information to us here. There is we have some cool stuff here, just talking about the cards and the arts. They mention adventures, right? And we do have a rogue here as well, which is really cool. And they are not really saying much other than venture is a new keyword. We can travel room by room through iconic dungeons in search of powerful rewards. They also showed, you know, Tomb of Annihilation, which is based on the legendary Tomb of Horrors, published in 1978. So I'm going to include this if you guys are interested in it. And this is pretty cool as well. Look at the art on this. Flump. Small aberration. Challenge 1 out of 8. Armor class 12. Hit point 7. Speed 5 foot. Fly 30 feet. Attacks. Telepathic shroud. Tendrils. Stench spray. Man, like this is pretty cool. I'll get on board with this. Very, very interesting. And then of course, you know, we get some of the older spoilers brought back up as well. If you guys have not seen those yet, like Tiamat that came out right when we first started getting them, the Spider Queen, all of these lands, which is cool. And then you know, people are showcasing the art as well. So I'll definitely include this article by Polygon in the description for you guys if you want to give it a full read through. I don't think, you know, as far as I can tell, they're not really telling us how we're going to get these dungeons in play. Again, I'm pretty smooth brained. I just skimmed over it. So if anybody can complete that riddle for us, leave it down in the comments below and we'll get to it, right? We'll talk about it. We'll pin it and discuss it down there. So what do you guys think? You know, you can obviously tell I'm pretty jacked about it and excited for the next couple days because you can play these cards in Arena on July 8th, which, boom, the pre-order is in effect. So you can go ahead and purchase these. I just grabbed them. You know, you get 50 packs, a sleeve, which is relatively good value. And then, of course, you can grab the pet, all of the tokens, which I do not use, sadly, but the sleeves, you get the sleeves and the pet, that's cool. And, you know, the Planeswalker and alternative art for the Walker as well, which is decent. And I think probably even her as a player avatar, it looks like as well. So, you know, if they're not the greatest deals, like, you know, they're not like half price value situations, but, you know, if you are spending money, it's a great way to spend that money, of course, right? So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed your little trip into our first dungeon. Just a little sneak peek, some level 1 boar shenanigans. And of course, I hope you all are having a magical day. Again, the 8th. That is like, what, 14 days away or something? That is right around the corner. I don't even know if it's that far away. What is today? The 24th? It is 14 days, yeah. So it is right around the corner, which is pretty cool. So subscribe to the channel and you could win the entire playset. Not all the mythics, but I'll get you all the rares, which is good enough. So cheers, enjoy, watch another video, and we'll see you soon.